Does it feel like everybody's telling you to use AI for everything? I'm going to tell you that that's actually not the way to go, and that's going to set you back. Hey, Gen Xers, what's good, party people? I've spent the last few videos talking about how to use AI better to give it a job, build a system, test things before you commit. So today I wanted to talk about when to leave it out completely, just to forget about the AI. And I know that sounds kind of weird coming from somebody whose whole channel is literally called No BS AI, but hang out with me for a minute, you'll see what I'm talking about, because I think this is the part not a lot of people are addressing, and we need to talk about this. There's a version of AI adoption that looks really productive from the outside, and it's quietly wrecking things on the inside of our businesses. And I think a lot of Gen X business owners are walking right into it because we are really good at optimizing. We see a system, we want to improve it. That's our whole thing. We're the generation that figured out how to record two VHS tapes at the same time. We love a good system, but not everything should be optimized. Some things should just be left alone, like me on certain days. Welcome. I'm Lisa. If you're new here, I help Gen X business owners figure out what to do with AI and sometimes more importantly, what not to do. So hit the subscribe button right now if you appreciate a no BS approach to things. Today is very much the what not to do time frame. So let's get into it. I like to start with a scenario that I've seen play out more than once. A business owner decides to automate their client follow-up emails, templates, personalization, tokens, the whole setup. Feels like a win. I'm super efficient, modern, done. They're basically living in the future. A few months later, a long-term client quietly walks away from the business. When they finally catch up and talk, the client said something like, "I just stopped feeling like you actually cared. The emails were fine, technically fine, on time, relevant, correct, but they felt like they came from a company instead of a person," because they did. And here's the thing that some of us seem to be forgetting, I think, it's that that client relationship was the product. In a service-based business, trust is what you're selling. You can automate a whole lot of things. I love it. You cannot automate trust. That's just the way it is. Now, here's what gets me about this, though. That business owner wasn't trying to be less human. They were doing the right thing. They were trying to be efficient, completely reasonable goal. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be efficient about, but there's things to be efficient and not. And they didn't figure that out until it cost them a client that they'd already had for years. And that is a mistake that I want to help you and all of us avoid. I'm looking at this kind of like there's three zones: things AI should handle, things AI can assist with, and things AI should just never touch. I think a lot of people are only thinking about zone one. Zones two and three, where things kind of go sideways, is the kind of the forgotten ones. Zone one, yes, that's yes, go for it, AI all over it. We've already covered some of that. Summarizing, drafting, categorizing, the stuff that makes you leave a big sigh before you even start. Repetitive, low judgment things that nobody's going to be moved by it either way. This is AI's true sweet spot. It's where you get your time back on your calendar. Zone two, I think AI can help, but you're still driving, drafting proposals, writing content, research, building outlines. AI gives you a good starting point. You make it yours before it goes anywhere, though. AI is the assistant, not the author. It's the intern we've talked about. There's a real difference between those two things that we need to keep in mind. And zone three, that's the one that I'm saying AI is hands off. This is what we're really talking about today. And I'm going to give you some specific examples because use your judgment is not the most helpful advice. We've all heard enough of that. And I mean, what if your judgment sucks? Then what do you do? Zone three, the first thing I think we need to keep in mind is that client relationships and real conversations are the key. When a client is frustrated, scared, confused, they're not looking for an accurate response. They're looking for a human one. Those are not the same thing. They're not even close. Your client conversations are your gold. That's your business. That's where you find out what's actually broken, how you can help, what they need, what you're not offering, what's confusing to them about your own process. When you automate all of that, you don't just lose the warmth, you lose the intelligence, the actual, not the artificial. You're flying blind, making business decisions based on assumptions instead of real actual feedback. AI can handle the easy stuff: FAQs, scheduling, basic logistics, bookings. The real in depth conversations, they have to stay yours, between you and your customers. The second thing I think is your actual opinion. AI will give you an opinion if you ask for one. A lot of them are super opinionated. It will sound reasonable. It might even sound like you once they get to know you. But there's kind of a structural problem in that. AI always gives you the most probable answer, the median, the average, the synthesis of what's worked before for other people in other situations. You know what was also the safe, probable answer? Not starting a business in the first place, not pivoting when pivoting felt scary, not betting on yourself when nobody else was. Your customers, especially if you're in any kind of advisory or service role, they're paying you for your specific take, the one that came from your years, your screw ups, your hard won experience in whatever you do. And frankly, at our age, there's plenty of screw ups and hard won experience for us to draw on. The moment your expert opinion is just cleaned up AI output, you've kind of hollowed out what your own value proposition was to begin with. You probably won't notice it happening. Your clients will, though. The third thing I think it's important to keep in mind is vision. AI can only work with what's already existed. It's very smart about that. By definition, it gives you what's already known or what's worked before. And that's great for execution. It's useless for direction, though. Seeing a future that doesn't exist yet, figuring out where your business should go, could go, spotting the problem in your industry that nobody else is solving, AI can't do that. That's yours. AI can research, summarize, give you options to react to, but the actual vision, nobody has your vantage point. So don't outsource that. That's actually kind of how I got here in the first place. I waited for so long to get started on YouTube because who am I? Who wants to hear what I have to say? I'm nobody. Everybody already knows all this stuff, or there's a thousand other people talking about what I have to talk about. Listen, I know I'm not for everybody. I mean, nobody is. But I'm here to find the somebodies that I am for, the people that I jive with, and the people who jive with me. If that's you, I'm really honored that you're here. The fourth thing, decisions that actually matter. Use AI for analysis all day long. It's a great tool for pulling information together, organizing it, giving you a framework to react to start with. But the actual call, the real decision that has to be made at the end of the day, you still need to make that because AI still has these weirdo moments. It gives you the statistically probable answer, not necessarily the right one for you, your business, your situation, your customers, your risk tolerance. That's different for all of us. So use AI to inform your decisions, not to make them. There's a big fat difference, and it matters a whole lot. The fifth thing is your brand voice. You can use AI to help with content. I bet most of us are doing that already. But there's a meaningful difference between using AI to draft something that you then make yours versus content you barely look at before it goes live, just copy pasting. Think of it like this: you know how you could always tell when somebody's term paper was written by their older brother? There was something just slightly off, a little too polished. You knew they weren't quite that smart. It was a little too generic. Your customers have that same BS detector. They might not be able to name it, but they can feel it. Your voice is not just your style, it's your perspective, your humor, your specific way of seeing things, your experience. That's what people are actually showing up for. They're showing up for you and the way you run your business. Here's the test that I kind of like to think of it as. It's the would I be embarrassed if they knew test. If a client found out that AI wrote the message you sent after their really hard week, would you cringe, as the kids say? Is that cringe? I don't even know. That's probably cringe. If a prospect found out that the proposal felt personal, but it was a template that you barely edited, does that bother you in any way? Or if a subscriber realized that the content they had emotionally connected with was something that you barely looked at or thought about before you posted it, does that sit well with you? If it's a yes or even a kind of sorta to any of those, that's your zone three. AI can help you think it through, but what goes out the door still has to be yours. You still have to have the final say. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. And I say this as somebody who's sitting here uncomfortably and who's had to check yourself about this. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Good old Ice Cube. The more you rely on AI for things that require judgment, like real discernment, the more you erode your own ability to do those things. Skill atrophy is real. I've started going down that road to experience it. If you stop writing, you get worse at writing. If you stop thinking through strategy, you get slower at thinking through strategy. If you outsource every hard conversation to a template, you lose the muscle for actually having those hard conversations. It happens gradually, quietly. You might not notice it until you really need that skill. And it's just a little bit less there than it used to be, a little less sharp. Remember back in the day when we all had every phone number memorized? Like all your friends, you knew everybody's phone number. Yeah, use it or lose it. It's not just a thing in the gym. The stuff in zone three is usually the stuff your business runs on. So you should protect that like you'd protect anything else that matters. And I want to say this clearly because there's a lot of noise out there suggesting otherwise. AI does not give you a competitive advantage just by using it. That's the pitch. I know. I keep seeing lots of people say that. Sign on for this, get this. But plenty of those people use AI every single day. Nothing changes because they're using it in ways that don't actually move anything important. Your real advantage comes from combining AI with your specific process, your relationships, your expertise, your knowledge, your judgment, not replacing those things. It's you plus AI, your team plus AI, used intentionally. That combination, that's the goal and the gold. AI by itself is just a tool. It's same as every other tool we've been handed and told was going to change everything. Use it wisely. So here's my recommendation for this week. Look at AI everywhere it currently is touching your business. For each thing, ask three questions. Does the value here come specifically from the fact that it's me, you? The second thing, would I be embarrassed? The embarrassment test. Would I be embarrassed if my customer knew that AI had done this? And the third and final question is doing this myself a skill I need to keep sharp? Yes to any of those, zone three, pull AI back. Or at a minimum, make sure it doesn't leave your hands without a real review, not a skim, an actual look. You don't need to automate everything. You need to just automate the things that are the right things. Now you have a way to figure out which is which. This is exactly the kind of thing that I dig into in the AI clarity audit. It's where we look at your specific business, your industry, and your specific workflows so we can figure out what AI should be doing, what it can help with, and where it genuinely has no business being. The link to book one of those is just below. And if you haven't yet, be sure to grab your free AI Clarity Starter Bundle. That's a good place to start mapping this out on your own. The link for that is also in the description. And hey, if this kind of straight talk is your thing, go ahead and hit subscribe so we can keep hanging out. These videos are building on each other, and next time we're going to get into something that a lot of people are getting wrong every single day, prompting. Next time we're going to talk about prompt engineering, not in a here's the magic formula kind of way because that's not actually a thing, and anybody telling you that it is is selling something you probably don't need. I'll show you why your prompts are why they keep getting mediocre results and how to fix that. It doesn't require you to become a prompt engineer, which might be one of the more ridiculous job titles to come out of this whole thing. It's right up there with the chief synergy officer. I hope nobody's still doing that. Look, we survived New Coke. We survived frosted tips on our hair. We survived the entire era of the CD-ROM. AI isn't even in the top 10 of things that are supposed to take us out. So we're going to be just fine. I'll see you next time.